Good afternoon, everybody. We're here to standing by live for the Barry Morphew hearing to get the judge's decision today on the preliminary hearing. Will he be let out of jail on bond, and will he be heading to trial? We're going to follow live what's happening in the courtroom this afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I think they're going to get started here in a couple minutes. It's about 3:28. Hoping the hearing will be on time. It appears as if there's lots of family from both sides at the hearing today. For Barry Morphew, certainly hoping there's a lot of Suzanne's family present today as well. I'd be switching back and forth and checking different sources for the most current minute-by-minute information on the hearing as we go along. I appreciate you joining us today. Certainly hope we don't lose power here today. I'm having a bit of a bad storm roll through, so if that's the case, I'll get up and running as fast as I can to keep you up to date. Believe there'll also be a decision made on the documentation, the arrest affidavit, if they're going to release that. I believe that's going to be decided as well today. Let's see. I believe they had quite a few people show up, and the fairgrounds are open for their overflow, as well as the, I know the courtroom's fairly small, a limited amount of people can make it into the courtroom. See, it doesn't look like things are up and going, rolling along yet. Hopefully any minute. Not exactly sure how long this hearing's going to take today. But we're going to find out if Barry Morphew is going to be heading to trial or let out on bond. Let's see. Does not look like the hearing has started yet. Hey, Lily. Thanks for joining us today. We are a new true crime channel, so I appreciate you joining us. We are going to be covering every bit of true crime that's out there, if possible, as much as we can cover anyway, on a daily basis, to keep everybody updated and apprised of what's happening. Sadly, right now, there's a lot going on. A lot of true crime many people are interested in. Hopefully we can make a difference. see. Nothing's happening here yet. Thank you, Lily. Lily Gigi. Had a passion for true crime for a very long time, so hopefully we can make a difference and help victims and their families. Okay, let's see. Checking for updates. See if we've got anything moving along yet. Let's see. Nothing so far. Maybe they're just a bit behind, but it is Friday afternoon, so I hope there's enough time. They get everything done today. If you would hit the like button and the subscribe button, we greatly appreciate it. We are a new channel, so it's going to take a little time to get built up, which is perfectly fine. Been personally paying attention to the Gabby case. I've not done any videos or lives on that case yet. From what I know so far, it's changing by the hour, by the day. They do have a possible witness who believes that they saw Brian in the Grand Teton area. Don't see anything happening yet. I'm probably just running behind. Out of curiosity, Lily Gigi, what do you believe is going to be the result of today's hearing? Let's see. Okay. They are, Barry Morphew's family and his attorneys have been seated. His daughters are sitting in the second row. And his sisters and his mother are also there. Let's see. I do not recall Barry's sisters being present for any of the other hearings. So apparently, it's such a critical day. His sisters are there today. Let's see. The judge is not in the courtroom yet. It's definitely a huge day. Going to trial or not, getting out of jail or not. Or was there enough? I know there's not too much that has to be provided in a preliminary hearing, but you wonder if it's proof evident. Seems unlikely Barry would be set free at this point. Let's see, checking a couple different sources here for some updated information. Plunder is a very good channel. Oh, sorry about that. We do have some dogs in the house. Let's see. So very interested to see what's going to happen today. Looking for some updates here. The judges come into the courtroom yet? It's a very small courtroom, so I'm sure the tension is pretty tough and challenging if there's members of both families there. I'm very interested to see if he will get bail. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say. I don't know Colorado law, what the parameters are. For Barry to get bail. Let's see. Sorry about that. We're a animal-friendly environment, so occasionally there might be a little external animal noise. Not getting any updates. It'll be very interesting to see if they're going to release that arrest affidavit. It's probably the largest one anyone's ever seen. The number of pages, the amount of information. Now it'll take a little time to review that as well. Extremely interesting information in that document. So there's a little delay in getting everybody situated in the courtroom. Apparently, there really are not very many seats available. In Chaffee County, I think such a small place. Certainly probably never expected to have a crime like this. Thanks, Human Animal, for joining us today. We're a new true crime channel, hoping to grow, cover a lot of cases, help a lot of victims and their family. Thanks for joining us. If you could hit the subscribe and like button, we would greatly appreciate it. We're not really moving along here yet. I'm sure once they get going, the information's going to come out pretty quickly. Apparently, there's a lot more security there today, according to Lauren Scharf, and she's just been amazing, her coverage of the case. And I guess the other question would be when it would be set for trial, if that's in fact the direction that it goes. How quickly that might happen. Interesting thought, Lily Gigi. It's very possible. And of course, with the additional family that's present, with the emotions running really high, that might be another reason why they have more security there. The tension. Lots of raw emotions, this difficult situation. Especially with his young daughters and Suzanne's young daughters. No other updates here. See here, there's about 8 seats available for the public, and I'm shocked. I can't even believe there's a seat available. Yes, Lily Gigi, she's amazing. And then I have a couple other things I'm following as well. There's always different perspectives from different reporters, different people. Also curious to find out if in fact it goes to trial, if it's going to be open to the public. I can't imagine if he is able to get bail. I guess, does he have the money? Is he able to do it? He sold his property. Not sure. Just to wait and see. Let's see. Trying to check as fast as I can to get the most current updates for everybody. Again, thanks for joining us. We're a new channel, so it's going to take a little time to grow, reach a lot more viewers. Let's see. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if the trial is, it'll be pretty limited, basically, if it's only open to physically the people that can make it into the courtroom. Certain there'll probably be a lot more people that will want to be present for that than the tiny Chaffee County courtroom. So we'll have to see what happens today. Let's see. No new updates. We're still waiting, so they're a bit behind. Very interesting about the security. It's just a big day with a lot of emotions, so they have to protect everybody. As far as I know, Barry doesn't have any other property except possibly that piece of land he bought in Poncha Springs. Maybe that's all he has left. Sorry for the delay here. They just look like they haven't gotten started. Let's see. It's hard to imagine if Barry Morphew was able to walk out of the courtroom today. No trial, no nothing. So it's possible that he does have additional means to be able to put up the money. It's an interesting situation to find out little tidbits like the spy pen that Suzanne had. Also that she was so incredibly tight with her secrets about the affair. That was extremely interesting. I believe she didn't tell anybody for a long period of time, and then it was the one close friend of hers that knew some of the details of the affair with Jeff Libler. Well, we know apparently Barry's lawyers are darn good criminal attorneys, so seems like they know what they're doing. In reviewing the case, it really seems as if there's bits and pieces of time and think that something's missing. Something's missing. I haven't been able to figure it out yet. Still not moving forward, I don't believe. Okay. Barry Morphew was escorted into the courtroom. So we should be getting started. I would imagine they're waiting for the judge. This could actually go a lot faster than we all believe, too. Hearing should be underway shortly. So I'm going to do my best to keep up with the information coming out of the courtroom. Do it as quickly and efficiently as I can. Thanks, you guys, for joining us today. Judge Patrick Murphy is now in the courtroom. He apologized for the delay. And they do have a new attorney for the defense and another new attorney on the state side as well. So both sides get to make arguments, 20 minutes for each side. And then the judge will make a decision. So it's going to roll along pretty quickly here. Let's see. Each side's going to make their argument. And then the judge said right after that, he will be making a decision. The judge will probably give his all the legal information as to the decision he's making. Let's see. Okay, he says, the judge is saying anyway, they're hoping to have it all wrapped up by 5 o'clock today. And each side will have the opportunity for closing statements as well. That's a big deal. I'm sure Barry Morphew has quite a bit of emotions running through his body and brain today. One would assume. So Sean Connolly is the new attorney for the defense, and Dan Edwards is the new attorney on the state side. Really, both sides have quite a crew. Okay, let's see. The people versus Barry Morphew are able to go first. And Attorney Edwards, that is the new attorney on the state side, he's taken the stand to talk about probable cause. Actually allowed the whole entire afternoon for this hearing, so. Yes, thanks, Lily. Gigi, it's no WebEx is available. It's in person in the courtroom only, and then they have the fairgrounds for additional people that weren't able to make it into the courtroom, but no WebEx. So no streaming per the judge's instructions. He said no streaming, no nothing. Attorney Edwards, for the state side, is citing cases, basically, and talking about whether or not Barry Morphew should be allowed bond or not. Well, each side will make their argument, and the judge will make the legal decision based on the evidence provided at the preliminary hearing. Does anybody believe that he's a flight risk? I'm not so certain that Barry would be a flight risk. If he has any place to go, maybe as long as he doesn't have a passport, there's nowhere for him to go. It's a little bit better when there's WebEx available and you can actually see everybody in person to see their reactions and interestingly enough, their emotions. I'd love to know, do you guys think that he's a flight risk? Very possible if he thinks he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail that he would try to run. So Senior Deputy Jeff Lindsay takes the podium and he described the last text between Suzanne and Barry about being quote unquote done. And he describes that text as very crucial. The text said as well, let's just do this. Let's just do it civilly. It was also done. Let's see. Jeff Lindsay, the senior deputy DA, also said that Barry Morphew arrived on the scene where Suzanne's bike was found and immediately said it was a mountain lion. And that they loved each other to death. And Lindsay described that as chilling. Deputy Lindsay describing those things as chilling and crucial to the case about Barry finding the bike, claiming it was a mountain lion, almost as if he was trying to distract from the real truth. I'm not certain, Lily Gigi, about the WebEx for these particular hearings. I know a lot of people were very frustrated that are, located all over the country that wanted to be able to see what was happening in the courtroom and be more involved. Okay, I'm bouncing around a little bit trying to check everybody's information. Definitely an extremely difficult situation for their two daughters. Okay, so the FBI had to recover text messages from Barry Morphew's phone. And he says that showed him that Barry had something to hide. And he's referring to a text from Barry to Suzanne playing the victim in the situation. Lindsay's words were basically, it's simple, this is a domestic violent homicide, stating to the court. Now we're getting a little bit more detailed information. He's described it again as a domestic violence homicide, an intimate partner homicide. That's Deputy District Attorney Lindsay. Lindsay said that Suzanne Morphew left a list of grievances about why the marriage with Barry would end on May 8th. Suzanne said it was an unhealthy relationship. It's interesting because, of course, as everybody knows, that's not what was portrayed in many of the pictures and things about their family. The mountain lion issue is there would have been evidence and marks and ripped up clothing and a path and trail and all of that stuff. I think if somebody gets attacked by a mountain lion, you don't just per se disappear with no shred of any kind of evidence. Doesn't seem like it's going to be much longer before the defense gets to make their argument. It said they only had 10 minutes for each side. Just checking. Can you all hear me okay? Making sure my audio working properly. So Lindsay describes it as Suzanne asking for civility on May 8th and 9th. And he believes that they are being civil, but he believes Barry is tricking Suzanne into what she thinks will be a civil situation. That's interesting. It seems clear, though, that Suzanne believed Barry was cheating on her, i.e. the spy pen. I've never seen a spy pen. Have you? Never in my life seen a spy pen. And a voice activated one. At least that's what I understand Suzanne had. So anytime somebody talked, they were being recorded. Okay. Suzanne had texted Melinda, her sister, about the abusive relationship, physically, emotionally. And then, in addition, Suzanne had told Barry many of her grievances and why she didn't want to be in the marriage. Thanks for joining us, Lori. We're not able to stream the hearing. I'm just using multiple sources for live updates on what's happening in the courtroom today. Sometimes these domestic violence situations do end up in a scenario where many cases in the past, one partner person gives an ultimatum or states they don't want to be in the relationship any longer, and the other person just can't handle it. Sadly, instead of just walking away, they snap. So May 8th, Suzanne had listed her grievances and texted her sister on the 9th. Suzanne talked about the abusive relationship emotionally and physically. I know the arrest affidavit has just got to be a whopper of a document with so much information in there. Lori, since you came in just a little bit later, there's quite a bit of family there. Barry's daughters are there, his sister, his sisters, his mother. I've not heard anything about Suzanne's family in the courtroom. Okay. Nothing else. Not sure how much more time the state's going to have before they give the defense their turn. Welcome, Kim. Thanks for joining us. As Kim stated in the chat, does everybody believe that this will go to trial? That will be the judge's ruling or not? Lindsay from the state basically believes that Barry wouldn't let Suzanne divorce him because, quote unquote, marriage is for life. He described, he believes anyway, Lindsay believes that Barry loaded a syringe in the garage the day of May 9th. Now, the syringe, from the evidence and information I'm aware of, the syringe would have been for that tranquilizer gun that they found. The gun was in the garage, I believe, and then they found the syringe or the needle cap in the dryer in their house. Let's see. The deputy DA was talking about the timeline of events from May 6th until May 9th, conversations and actions of Suzanne. She was done and wanted out of the marriage, and that Barry was not allowing Suzanne to divorce him. Lindsay says the night of May 9th, Barry was preventing her from getting to safety or to a phone. He did not describe how he was preventing her. And this is new evidence. I have never heard this before. But preventing her from getting to safety or to a phone. Lindsay said the investigators were asking Barry Morphew what he was throwing away on his quote-unquote trash runs. But Barry continued to tell them, I don't recall. Lindsay's opinion was that he says that Barry said that he did not recall because he's using that as a fallback instead of telling the truth. Lindsay admitted they have no body in the case and blames it on the Barry Morphew quote-unquote plan. He says the crime scene was staged and there was no blood found anywhere because it's all part of the plan. Wow, those are a couple little tidbits we had not heard before. And that's, of course, investigators putting information together based on all the circumstantial evidence they have, but not necessarily 100% proof. Lindsay said Barry Morphew missed things because Suzanne always wears her Camelback. That's a little backpack that you can wear when you're hiking and biking, and you could put, water, Gatorade, or your drinks, whatever, in there. It has a little tube you can drink it out of while you're exercising. That she always wore her Camelback and sunglasses when she would ride her bike. And both of those items were found in her car, not with her bike. I was basically saying Barry anyway, put the bike in the ravine intentionally. Oh, this is quite descriptive. The deputy DA compared Suzanne Morphew as an animal that Barry hunted. Quote unquote, she let her guard down. May 9th is the quote unquote the day of reckoning for Barry. That's a pretty vivid description. Absolutely hope that was not the case. For Suzanne's sake. Lindsay continues with saying how important the tranquilizer evidence is. And they're describing when Barry saw Suzanne, that she was lightly snoring. And Lindsay believes that she was lightly snoring because of the tranquilizer chemical. And with that, Lindsay wraps it up. So we'll see here if it's going to be, if the defense takes their opportunity at this point. Yes, legally speaking, I'm not an attorney, but legally speaking, it's not necessarily what an investigator believes. It's the evidence and proof that have to show the court. So the deputy DA basically added that the bicycle looks staged. We've heard that before, that the bike helmet was staged, and that Barry admitted to being in that area. In addition, from the fireplace, that they had burned stuff that week, quote unquote, according to Barry. And 5 separate trash runs, and the tranquilizer evidence is significant. And at this point, the defense has taken over. They say the prosecution changed their story today, different from what they had been arguing in the past. They can make an argument all they want, but they have to have the proof and the evidence. Thanks everybody for joining us. We're a new channel, so we hope to grow, be following true crime to help as much as possible for victims and their families. So the defense is taking their 10 minutes or so. Let's see. The deputy DA said that Barry Morphew couldn't say bye to Suzanne, because she isn't there or wasn't there on May 10th. Again, they're bringing up the tranquilizer, saying the evidence is significant. And Agent Grusing said the biologist talked about if Suzanne was tranquilized, she would have hypoxia and would lightly snore. I don't know anything about tranquilizers, but you'd think that somebody would be heavily snoring if they were tranquilized with something to that effect. Some people are commenting about the fact that the defense is changing their story, not the prosecution, and that Barry changes his story. The deputy DA told law enforcement that Suzanne was asleep. That Barry told law enforcement that Suzanne was asleep and lightly snoring the last time he saw Suzanne. The quote unquote, "I'm done" text from Suzanne is pathetic words by Mrs. Morphew. The state asks that you bind the defendant over and hold him without bond. Okay. Checking for more updates. I agree with you somewhat, Sue Hadley. Thanks for joining us today. If everybody could click the subscribe and like button, we'd greatly appreciate it. We're a new channel, so it's going to take a little time for us to grow. It's one thing if he used the tranquilizer, but then, as you mentioned, leaving her there alive and acting like nothing happened, that just doesn't make sense. Let's see. Not much from the defense yet. Let's see. The defense is discussing the reasoning behind how their case proves there is not enough evidence to bound Barry Morphew over for a trial. And this is a male attorney on behalf of Barry. And then after he's finished, either the attorney Nielsen or Eaton will close out for the defense. We're not going to be too far away from the court's decision. He said he would be, the judge anyway, would be making his decision right after both sides had their opportunity to present the information to the court. Certainly be interesting to have this live or be in person in the courtroom to see everybody's reaction when the judge decides. Okay, let's see. So the defense, no updates here. The defense is probably arguing something, but not able to get out the information yet. So Attorney Connolly is refuting that May 6th is a chilling day, like the state is trying to say. The murder didn't happen on May 6th. May 8th was a fine night, according to Suzanne's texts between her and Jeff Libler. And they went to town and looked at real estate. But that's the first time I've heard that. That's interesting. I never heard that they went to town and were looking at real estate. Of course, there's a plethora of information in that heavy-duty affidavit that hopefully there'll be a ruling on that today as well. Okay, let's see. The defense describes the "I'm done" text that Barry did not respond with violence. There was no evidence of domestic violence, that he didn't say he was going to kill her. Let's see. Digging for more info. They don't have an enormous amount of time today, so this is going to wrap up pretty quickly. Even more interesting to hear the judge's, the legalities behind his decision. Do not think, if this does go to trial, I believe it's going to be a long one. Many, many weeks, in my opinion. Let's see. Nothing yet. Waiting for another update. Let's see. Most of this information was provided in the preliminary hearing, so I don't think anything today too significant, for the judge. He's probably had his decision prepared and ready to go, since he said he needed a couple weeks to review all the information. The defense says the prosecution thinks Barry became a murderer in 6 minutes, and that the prosecution continues to change their story about how they believed he killed Suzanne. They're certainly trying to put doubt in the judge's mind. I agree with you, Lily Gigi. He said that he needed a couple weeks to review all the information to be able to make the correct decision, the right decision. The defense is arguing there is no motive, just speculation. There isn't proof of the opportunity to kill Suzanne and dispose of her. Attorney Connolly added the state gave offensive redirect of hunting her down like an animal. Now the theory is that he carried a syringe, not a gun. In addition, they say there's no motive, no evidence, it's clear, no evidence that is clear to take this to trial. Oh boy. Powerful arguments on both sides. Doesn't seem like the defense is going to have too much longer here. So their theory changed is basically what the defense is saying. The prosecution's theory changed from a gun to then it was the syringe for the tranquilizer. Yes, human animal. I agree on a certain level. The defense has been fairly convincing. It's the preponderance of evidence. And the rules of the state of Colorado, I'm not familiar with every particular. Seems like a lot of circumstantial. Pointing in certain directions, but nothing concrete. Let's see. How many delays are going on here in between the defense, the judge, and the prosecution. Again, the defense said there's no motive and no evidence, just speculation. A lot of the things that I have heard were the investigators stating it's what they believe or it's what they think, but not based on the evidence. Let's see. Curious to see how long the judge's statement will be. Wondering if they're sort of wrapping things up. I'm not getting any other updates. Top 10 reasons the state versus Barry Morphew had their investigation as result given. The DNA, there was no dispute that it matched in 3 unsolved sexual assault cases. That they can't account for 18 miles. And the defense says they can with Salida Spa, that Jeff Libler did not come forward. Thank you, Lori James. I hadn't heard that before. I somewhat agree, Lily Gigi. If it's the worst case scenario, it might be extremely difficult to find Suzanne. The defense says the prosecution thinks Barry became a murderer in 6 minutes. Wow. People are really angry at the defense, is what I've recognized. I think right off the bat, everybody believes Barry's guilty. What's your opinion? What does everybody think? Could Suzanne have been abducted? Okay. They're claiming the state keeps shifting. The defense is basically stating the state keeps shifting stories. And they first thought that Barry used Suzanne's Facebook account and that now she friend requested guys. That there was no evidence of Barry Morphew's DNA on the sheets in the house from Mallory's room and the tranquilizer cap. That is one rugged terrain area out there in Colorado. It's, as you mentioned, Lily Gigi, just endless places to do harm to somebody and be very difficult to find them. Something about coffee, that Suzanne finished her morning routine that particular morning. Oh, the defense is stating that there was chlorine in a hotel room near a pool. So I guess chlorine being near a pool isn't that unusual. Hi, Swan Song. Thanks for joining us. In my opinion only, this is a tough one for the judge. There's a bit of evidence, but there's also seems as if there's nothing concrete enough to meet the burden of proof. Yes, Lily Gigi, absolutely a needle in a haystack. And thousands of mountainous acres. Hi, Vicky. Thanks for joining us. If everybody could hit that subscribe and like button, we'd greatly appreciate it. I believe most people think he's absolutely guilty, 100%. And they're really angry at the defense for defending him. See, nothing new. The defense, it seems like they're going through a list of things that they're stating that the prosecution made a big deal of, but it's no evidence and not accurate. And some people believe the state's struggling in their argument. Let's see. The judge said that they would have everything wrapped up by 5 o'clock today, so they still have 2 more hours. Plenty of time. The defense stated that Barry Morphew, his cooperation, he did what he was told inside the home. Something about the tranquilizer gun that didn't work. From what I recall, the evidence showed that the tranquilizer gun was stuck or inoperable, basically. This case is based on supposition, and the defense asked this court to end this case now. Definitely seems like a tricky one for the judge, in my opinion. That's only my opinion. I agree, Lily Gigi. There just is not a smoking gun here at all. No, I don't believe one really critical piece of evidence it's not there. It's not enough. This is interesting. The judge says the defense argues this case cannot be bound over for trial because Suzanne's body has not been found. They say if a body is not recovered, that a murder cannot be proven. And the defense is wrapped up. They're finished. Possible we're going to get the judge's opinion anytime now. I never heard a thing about pillows either. Vicky, where did you get that information about pillows? Thanks everybody for joining us today. We're a new channel. It's going to take a little time to grow and cover lots of true crime cases. So hopefully if you click on the notification bell when we go live and or videos, you'll be aware of what's happening in the true crime community, new cases, existing cases, updates. Okay, looking to see if the judge is, the judge is move forward. The judge says there are 3 things that go against the defense argument. He says this is a probable cause hearing. A body is not required for homicide charges. a body is not needed as long as there is other evidence to prove something happened. They're saying based on the prosecution's argument, her disappearance from the prosecution's perspective, Suzanne was murdered by her husband. Just based on that statement from the judge, the three things that goes against the defense argument, it's looking like maybe he's leaning towards the prosecution. The judge stated there has to be a reasonable belief that the defendant may have committed this crime. The judge says he draws all reasonable inference in favor of the prosecution. Again, so he said, the judge said he draws all reasonable inference in favor of the prosecution. And that's the last update so far. Very possible this is going to go to trial. The judge said, oh, let's see, sorry, my apologies. That was not another update. Got a little delay. Oh boy, I bet everybody in that courtroom is sweating. What I heard in the evidence about the pool and the chlorine was that many people not having anything to do with this case had stated that that part of the rooms or the hallway or something, because it was so close to the pool, that they all smelled like chlorine and like all the time. That wasn't anything different or new. Nothing new here. My opinion is it's looking like it's leaning towards the prosecution. I think the issue about the pool is kind of the chlorine. I don't think it's an important issue anymore because they discovered that many people had complained about it. It didn't really have much to do with Barry, from what I recall the evidence stating. Okay, here we go. The judge said he can find probable cause if there is not a body found like this case. There is a reasonable belief if the defendant may have committed the crime. And the judge, Patrick Murphy, said he does see probable cause for first-degree murder and tampering with a deceased human body. Seems as if this will be moving forward to a big, long trial. Again, the judge said there is reasonable belief if the defendant may have committed the crime. Judge Patrick Murphy, he sees probable cause for first-degree murder and tampering with a deceased human body. So we go back to the arrest affidavit. What is in that document? Wow. If everybody could just be kind and polite in the chat, it would be terrific. Definitely a difficult case and a lot of emotions all over the place. Yes, the arrest affidavit is going to be a whopper, in my opinion. I'm sure Barry's family in that courtroom is really struggling. And Suzanne's as well. Certainly, and of course, extremely emotional situation. See, I'm looking for another update here. The judge said there were two motivations and an affair, and that she wanted a divorce. That Suzanne wanted a divorce. Some people just don't walk away. Their emotions get the best of them. So, the bail. What does everybody think? Yes, Lily Gigi, at some point, yes, I do need mods. Again, we're a new channel, so trying to get everything put together, that would be very helpful. Again, I ask everybody just to be kind and polite. Don't attack each other. We're all trying to evaluate all the information and figure it out. I will be very clear about your question, human animal. No, I don't entertain psychic anything whatsoever. If anybody's disappointed in that, I'm really not sorry. They take advantage of people and vulnerable people and people that are hurting, and I don't believe in it whatsoever. Now, what does everybody think about bail and the affidavit? So is he going to get bail, and will they release that affidavit today? I know what I'll be doing all weekend. I will be reading that affidavit so I can update everybody. Lily Gigi, no bail. What does everybody else think? The judge stated that finding out that Suzanne was having an affair gives him a motive. His feelings of hurt, anger, jealousy, and desperation. It could lead to someone who is typically normal to act differently, like harm someone who has harmed him. That's basically called revenge. Humiliation. Thank you, Lily Gigi. So Human Animal and Vicky, Sue, Swan Song, Lori, what does everybody think about the bail? The judge stated it's unlikely Suzanne went on a bike ride the morning of May 10th. He says several of her items were not with her, and some of her items were in the fire, and it's likely she would have taken those with her if she left. That's an interesting statement because I don't recall hearing about exact items that were found in the fire. And the judge also said Suzanne Morphew is a loving, devoted mother and says she will hold out in an unhappy marriage until her youngest is out. He says it makes little sense she would leave her children's lives and cause deep pain. Wow. I would say get the popcorn and some candy too, Vicky. And it's not a funny situation at all. I'm giggling about the popcorn and the candy, not the circumstances and the situation for the families and everybody involved. I would assume it's going to be a long trial with 100 and, forgive me, I can't remember exactly how many pages are in that affidavit. It's a lot. There's going to be a ton of information and an enormous amount of witnesses. Thank you, Sue Hadley. I appreciate that very much. Like I said, we are new. It's going to take a little bit of time to get going. I'm certain we'll probably make some mistakes along the way, but we're going to do our best and really try to grow the channel. Their prime goal is to get information out there, make people aware of the true crime cases, such as Gabby out west right now. Let's see. The judge also said Suzanne Morphew used her phone frequently, and her non-use of the phone shows she may have died. And the court believes there's significant relevance of Suzanne having fear of Barry Morphew. Candy crushing will gain too much weight. I have to be careful. I'm curious to see when the trial, when it will be set for, what date, time frame. The judge also described the text to Jeff Libler that described to him from Suzanne that these next few days are going to be rough. And the judge stated that shows that Suzanne wanted out of the marriage. They're describing Barry's behavior here, stating that he is looking up at the judge during all of this, but it's hard to see more of his demeanor because he has his mask on. Human animal, you believe the trial will be set in approximately 6 months from now? Is that what you mean? Let's see. The judge said the fear, Suzanne's fear, is relevant for the prosecution's case. He said it was clear because she possibly thought about a restraining order. And the judge also said it makes it capable. This makes it capable that Barry could have harmed his wife. Powerful stuff. Yes, I'm curious of what was in the fire. I believe the only thing I heard about was possibly a journal, her personal journal. We'll find out a lot more if they release the affidavit. Let's see. The judge stated Suzanne possibly thought about a restraining order. Does anyone recall hearing that information? Human animal, the defense still has the opportunity to present their case for Barry in a trial with all the evidence at that point. So yes, I recall just a description of some things that were in the fire, but not 100% proof that it was her journal. It was like metal things or something, like a binder, the edge of a binder or something like that. Okay, the judge stated Barry had enough time to get rid of Suzanne Morphew's body. He says investigators believe Barry was chasing Suzanne around the house on May 9th, and the judge agrees. Wow. That part of the judge's statement is a big impact. He believes that Barry was chasing Suzanne around the house. And we're still waiting for the bail issue and the affidavit issue. The judge is going over some of the evidence. He's speaking about the door frame photo that showed forced entry and text messages saying Suzanne Morphew didn't feel safe alone with Barry, said he was unstable. That this shows that Morphew was capable of harming Suzanne. The judge is also still explaining probable cause in the case and the evidence he believes is relevant to the case. We still need to discuss if the arrest affidavit will be released, as well as if there will be a bond set. Let's see. The morning of May 10th, several activities from Barry Morphew's truck, with the door opening and closing before 4 a.m., so from 3:58 a.m. until 4:07 a.m., the truck moved toward the highway where Suzanne Morphew was found. The judge saying this evidence is relevant to the prosecution. I am not certain on what they mean about the truck moved where she was found. Thank you, Lori. Yes, you're right. It's the spine of that journal in the fireplace. And Lily Gigi, I do recall Macy suggesting that restraining order. What did the judge mean by the truck moved toward the highway where Suzanne Morphew was found? Did anybody realize that the computer chips in the new vehicles actually report or have data showing when you open the door? That to me was pretty wild. I had no idea that the computer chips would record such information. That is very wild. Okay, the judge said that Barry Morphew had a consistent pattern of changing his story and leaving information out during interviews with investigators. The time frame is interesting to me. From the last picture that Suzanne took, the selfie, lying out at their pool, at their home, that she sent to Jeff Libler late in the afternoon that day. From that time until when Barry says he left to go to his job site in Broomfield, that's a long time frame. What happened? Any ideas from anybody? The last selfie she sent to Jeff Libler was in the afternoon, lying out at her pool. And I believe that was when she said Barry had gone to the spa shop. Okay, the judge is talking about the reason why Barry would be in the area where Suzanne's bike helmet was found. His reasoning: antlers and seeing a bull elk. Court can confirm that Morphew disposed of the helmet. He had no legitimate reason to be in that area. How they're concluding that, I don't think any of us will know yet. Judge says that Barry Morphew, his odd behavior shows he could have been disposing of evidence from the crime while he was in Broomfield. Assuming, of course, that that's alluding to all the trash dumps. The judge described her helmet, where Suzanne's bike helmet was found. The court can confirm, Sue Hadley, that Morphew disposed of the helmet and he had no legitimate reason to be in that area where the helmet was found. Okay, let's see. Barry did go all the way up that road to that mine at the end of the road, and that's what appeared as if he was in the area where the bike was dumped. He definitely made a lot of trash runs up in Broomfield, that's for certain. The judge says, "Why, if you're a devoted husband, would you leave your wife alone on Mother's Day? Question mark, quote unquote." Judge says Barry knows that Broomfield City ordinance shows construction work cannot be done on Sundays. So the judge is stating that Barry knew that. No work on Sundays. Yes, Lily Gigi, I remember that note. A little scribbled note. It was like in town that he left it there, looking to see if anybody, finds those things. I do agree. If you found out your spouse was sending naked photos to somebody else, you would be probably upset or angry or both, and you wouldn't want to be around them. It's kind of a combination. So the judge stated, "Why did someone who calls their wife his angel, why would you leave her alone? Why would you drive to Broomfield where you know you can't work and sit in a hotel room for 5 hours?" The judge stated, he says, "Probable cause is established for first-degree murder charges and tampering with a deceased." Barry's probably sweating bullets, shaking his feet or legs, possibly. We can't see him, so we don't know. Yes, Vicky, he did go out the drive that way. And that's when he did say he saw that elk. Thank you, Sue. The affidavit is just going to be jam-packed, but the judge did state quite a while back that there was a lot of irrelevant information in there. The judge stated, the court believes that it was because something happened to Miss Morphew. And after he stated sitting in the hotel room for 5 hours, something happened to alter those plans. He said he believes it was because something happened to Miss Morphew. The judge said the court is in favor of the people for counts 1 and 2, first-degree murder and tampering with a deceased body. The count 2, tampering with a deceased body, they know more than we do. So there we go. Probable cause. Enough probable cause to move forward. Everyone's asking what Barry's reaction is at this point, but there's not been any response. And bail at this point, I really do not know how that's going to work out here. Yes, Lori. James, court is in favor of the people. Count 1, first-degree murder. Count 2, tampering with the deceased body. That part sounds really grim. I hate to say it. Everyone's stating, many people are stating it's a huge victory for the prosecution. Pretty hard to think that you were in shackles in a jumpsuit and possibly no way out of jail the rest of your life. Would it be better to get out of court, get set free on bond, or stay in jail? Pretty difficult to get out if you're found guilty, and then you have to go back. So there it is. The judge stated, the court's in favor of the people for counts 1 and 2, first-degree murder and tampering with a deceased body. And I would like to know what evidence is there for the deceased body charge. Everyone's asking what are the reaction of Barry's family. And again, I never heard if any of Suzanne's family was there today. It's possible they might have done a private WebEx per the judge. That's what I believe happened last time. Domestic violence is a tricky and terrifying situation for so many. That can be female or male. Predominantly female from society and from what we understand. Okay, big news, everybody. Judges decided to grant Barry Morphew bail. He's been given bail. Wow. So, waiting for the particulars. Barry Morphew was granted bail. Hey, Leslie McGuire, thanks for joining us. Everybody, just please be polite and kind in the chat. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. Everyone's entitled to a fair trial. We'll have to wait and see what transpires and what happens once we see all the evidence. Thank you, Joan Terrell. Thanks for joining us. We're a new channel. We're hoping to grow over time and cover as many cases as we can on a regular basis. So we appreciate your support. If everybody could click the subscribe, like button and hit the notification bell, that would be terrific. I appreciate it very much. I've learned in life, it's fair to be fair. And until you have reason or evidence to prove otherwise, it's fair to be fair. It's reasonable. And in addition to that, it's an extremely tragic, terrible situation and a lot of people impacted on both sides. He is granted bond. Yes, Sue Hadley. Waiting for a little bit more information on that right now. Let's see. Well, what if it's $1 million? $1 million bail. We don't know yet. Waiting to find out. Is he going to have GPS monitoring? Is he going to have to surrender his passport? What does everybody think? I have not heard one thing about the arrest affidavit yet. I'm certain, at least I hope anyway, that's resolved today. Thank you, Human Animal. Yes, for everybody. I'm aware, and I have to say I'm pretty straightforward, cut and dry. There will be no attacking, no meanness, no attacking, no going after people in the chat. Just want it to be an informational chat and channel. People providing information, reasonable, educated opinions or opinions, based on the evidence. No wild speculation. I don't go for that. Usually just sends you down a rabbit hole and makes no sense. But if everybody could just be pleasant and kind and just put the facts and information out there, please, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. It's easier to get married than to get a divorce, I have to tell you that. You can go get married in a day. Can't get a divorce that fast. Still waiting to see about the bond. Let's see. judge stated there are 3 scenarios. Barry Morphew could have murdered her. Someone else took Suzanne and killed her. Suzanne Morphew left on her own. Judge says there's evidence for number 1, which was Barry could have murdered her, and possibly number 2, someone else took Suzanne and killed her. And yes, abductions happen a lot, and in a flash, somebody can be abducted. And then he says number 3 is highly unlikely, which was Suzanne left on her own. So Barry killed her. She voluntarily, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so we've kind of got 2 different situations here. She voluntarily disappeared or someone else killed her. Okay, so Suzanne just voluntarily leaving on her own is the highly unlikely situation. I'm assuming this is leading up to the specifics about the bail. What does everybody think? GPS monitoring? Surrendering the passport? Anything else? I think the judge is putting out that information because those are the other possibilities in the situation until all the evidence is heard. Of course, the unlikely one that Suzanne left on her own. Certainly seems like the prosecution's going to ask for some pretty strict requirements here as far as that bail is concerned. No more information yet. Very curious about the tampering with the deceased body. There's got to be a lot of information in that affidavit. I'm really curious. It seems to me they have pieces and parts of information about particular evidence which would show that he tampered with her. Hello, Yang 18D. We don't know yet. We're waiting on the information from the judge about the bond. Okay, let's see. The judge does not believe the state proved enough evidence for first-degree murder, so there will be a bond set. The court has taken a little break now, and the family was all in tears, hugging one another. Oh boy. An emotionally charged courtroom is what I can imagine and envision. So again, the judge does not believe the state proved enough evidence for first-degree murder. So there will be a bond set. Court's taking a break. Everybody's crying and hugging each other. Oh, 10 million, Vicky? Anything's possible. Sue Hadley, did you ever know that vehicles these days that like it monitors when you open the door? I had no idea that kind of information is, the data is available like that. Kind of wild. People have done that before, from what I recall seeing. After a crime, they go back to the crime scene. Sometimes there's been people that have appeared when an investigation is going on, and they just show up and stand in the crowd like everybody else. Yes, Lori James, exactly. As everybody would give me just a quick moment here, I will be right back. Thank you guys so much. I'll be right back. Thanks, everyone. I'm back. They did not specify how long their little break is, so I'm not certain. If everybody could like, subscribe, and click the notification bell, that would be terrific. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. That's interesting because I know one of his daughters lives in the area, I believe. I could be wrong. And he was renting that townhouse in the Poncha Springs area. So anybody have a good guess on where he might live while he's waiting for trial? I'm just going to take a guess and say his bond might be, like, truly guessing. This is an animal friendly environment, everybody, just in case you hear animals and dogs. They're hanging around too. I'm going to take a wild guess at maybe 500,000. Oh, Sue Hadley. So your car will not have any data in it showing when you open the door, shut the door, backed up, or turn left or right. Lori James, you believe they'll move the venue? Possible. He will probably, I'm guessing, uh, maybe being, told by the court that some of the specifics with the bond, the requirements, maybe one of them will be he can only travel within a certain area and has to live right in that particular area, and he can't go out of the area, and have a GPS monitoring system. It's interesting to me because the first degree murder charges sort of changed. Not necessarily changed, but the judge first said, let me go back and look and I'll read it to you. It says the judges said the court is in favor of the people for counts 1 and 2, first degree murder. But then the judge said he does not believe the state proved enough evidence for first degree murder, so there'll be a bond set. A little conflicting information there. I'm not exactly sure. Legally in Colorado, every bit of what that means. Conflicting, though, to me. How can he be charged for first degree murder if he stated if the judge said the state did not prove it with enough evidence? Interesting. Still waiting here. You'd think at this point in the day, I don't know why they would have really taken a break. Kind of mash it out and let everybody go on their way. Yes, some other people were commenting on the fact that the judge contradicted himself. I don't really believe there's more issues or problems if Barry's out. They are going to be watching him like a hawk. They might even have people following him. Uh-oh, Sue Hadley. Maybe I shouldn't ask what that means. Okay, here we go again. Wow. Okay, you guys ready? Boy, I was way off. The judge says the prosecution did not meet the burden of proof evident, presumption great, so the court is obliged to set a bond under Colorado Constitution. State is asking for $10 million cash-only bond for Barry Morphew. Wow. That's a huge $10 million cash bond, cash only. So he has to meet the bond requirements. Will he be able to do it? What do you guys think? $10 million cash bond for Barry Morphew. Again, the judge says the prosecution did not meet the burden of proof. Evident presumption is great, so the court is obliged to set a bond under Colorado law. $10 million cash. Wow. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. My apologies. I'm so very sorry. It said the state is asking for a $10 million cash bond. My mistake. I read that incorrectly. That's what the prosecution is asking for. Apologies, friends. The state believes that Barry does not have ties to the community anymore in Colorado, except for his one daughter, I believe. They fear for the witness's safety. Also believe he has $3 million since the sale of the home and the business. Oh, Lori James. Salida looks like an adorable, beautiful place. That's an interesting comment, Sue Hadley. Proof evident. Case strong, but also weak. That's kind of confusing, like for the evidentiary part of it. Yeah, my mistake. It's the state is asking for 10 million. That's what they're asking the judge, the court to have him put up for his bail. The prosecution are asking for protection orders for Suzanne Morphew's family and says that he's a significant risk to flee. I'm trying to quickly get these updates for everybody. Yes, correct, Lori James. $3 million from the house sales. That'll be gone really quickly with two powerful, expensive criminal defense attorneys. Okay, looking for. The prosecution says they're concerned about his ties to the community, say he doesn't have any. Lindsay says the court has determined that Barry has acted deliberately in killing his wife. They also say they have several people who fear their safety if Barry is released. I believe, Vicki, that he worked and had some pretty successful businesses and made a lot of money. But then Suzanne inherited money from her. Sorry about that. From her father, I believe, or family in general. Okay, according to the deputy district attorney, they're asking him to surrender all guns. That was predictable. That he's a significant danger to flee. They also want law enforcement to be able to monitor Morphew's whereabouts. So, of course, that's alluding to a monitoring, GPS monitoring thing. An ankle bracelet, however you would like to describe that. And the judge asked if he had a criminal history. And they said in Indiana involving an assault case. Because all of these things are going to have an impact on the amount and the particulars, the requirements of the bail for the judge to decide on. I'm surprised the passport issue hasn't come up yet. The judge had to go take a break. Yes, thank you, Sue Hadley. We've watched Scott Reich quite a bit. He has very good, clear information, Colorado law, on his channel, since he's a practicing attorney. Very informative. Okay, Iris Eaton, one of Barry's attorneys, said the assault case was disorderly conduct case and was dismissed. Barry has no criminal history. He's 54 years old. He's a hardworking man. He has family that supports him. His 2 daughters love him dearly. They want to hug him. There's about 10 family members of Barry's in the courtroom, many more at the overflow area. They flew out to Colorado from Indiana to be there today. I haven't heard a word about Suzanne's family today. The only thing I know is for the preliminary hearing, they were given a private WebEx by the judge because they were out of state. There are 10 people representing Barry's family in the courtroom. He intends to live near his 2 daughters who are here in Colorado. Iris Eaton says Barry, his family supports and loves him. He will be in court no matter what, according to the defense. Iris says Barry pleaded to people asking him to help find his wife. Yes, Lily Gigi, I would assume the daughters are probably still in shock, conflicted heavily with the events and things that have transpired in their life. They are pretty young. Your brain doesn't fully form until you're 25. We don't know the dynamic and interaction between all of them, and Suzanne, Barry, and the girls, or each one with each of the parents, so hard to know. Probably scary for them as well. Extremely difficult situation for I believe one of the daughters is still, is it finishing high school? Or they're both in college. I can't quite remember. Somebody can correct me if they know. Let's see. Just extremely difficult for them. For all we know, of course, they're probably hoping their mother's still found. Okay, thank you, Humanimal. That's what I thought, that Macy was still finishing school. That's why Suzanne had contemplated waiting until she was 18. So thank you. And the other daughter's older. So I recall someone saying one of them was still living in the area in Colorado. Okay, Barry Morphew said he's okay with any protection order the court puts on him, according to his attorney, Eaton. He doesn't have $3 million. A $10 million bond is a no bond. $50,000 to $200,000 typically in a class 1 felony case. The defense is asking for a $50,000 bond. Iris Eaton said the court needs to set a bond that will assure he will come to court. So again, the defense is asking for a $50,000 cash bond. Okay, let's see. Probably going to get a decision here any moment, and then we'll see if the court's going to address the arrest affidavit as well. Eaton Barry's attorney said Barry Morphew has been made a public spectacle, wrongly defamed. He has sustained great financial loss. It will be hard for him to make money at this time. Take away his passport. Let him have a constitutional bond that will let him go home to his daughters. Iris Eaton asked the court to take his passport and that they will hand that over, no problem. They have no problem, again, about the protection orders, but the court needs to make a reasonable bond. I believe a cash bond is the full amount. You have to provide the full amount, not a percentage. Thank you, human animal. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. True, Vicky. Gillian, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. They could have a little something. It'll go very quickly with two high-powered, expensive criminal attorneys, no doubt. So if it's a $50,000 bond, he's going to have to provide $50,000 cash. The difference between 10 million and 50,000 is quite a bit. So I don't know how the judge is going to figure this one out. Iris Eaton asked if Barry Morphew could live in Gunnison. The judge said he must live in Chaffee County. He's only been charged. He needs to be treated as if he's innocent. So part of the judge's order is that Barry resides in Chaffee County. The defense said his plan was to reside in Gunnison. So anybody, Lori, you're from the area right at this very moment. I do not know where Gunnison is. Do you know? Thank you. Mallory's in Gunnison. I thought she was in an area like near Denver or something, but a couple hours. So is Gunnison north of Maysville or east in the Denver area? I think regardless, the judge is basically saying he has to be in Chaffee County. I'm assuming that is so that the authorities can track him and, if he's wearing an ankle monitor or whatever, that they can keep track of him properly. West of Maysville. Okay, that's interesting. The defense again said his plan was to reside in Gunnison, and Iris Eaton said she'll give the court the address in Gunnison where he will live near his daughters. Says he will follow all orders and not leave. And again, he's willingly said he'll hand over his passport. Both sides are fighting pretty hard to get what they want. You're right. Gunnison is west, and I'm looking it up at the moment. It is deep in the mountainous areas there in Colorado. Tiny little place. Western Colorado University is there. Well, possibly one little location of that college. In the middle of the winter, it doesn't look like you're going to go far if you're in Gunnison. A ton of snow and ice. Yes, exactly, Lori James. That is probably treacherous area there in the dead of winter, coming up here pretty soon for everybody. So at least in the cold zones. There will be a protection order for several people, including Sheila. That is Suzanne's best friend. Thank you, because I could not remember her name. Several members of Suzanne's family, the Morphew neighbors, and others. And breaking news, the judge sets the bond at $500,000 cash only. He said the $50,000 cash is too low, $10 million is too high, and he wants to meet in the middle. And I have to say, my guess was spot on. I was guessing 500,000. The judge said, quote unquote, "I want you to be listening to me. No written contract, no electric contract. No, I'm sorry, excuse me. No written contact, no electric contact." That means email or text. You can't ask someone to contact them. You could be charged with a class 1 misdemeanor. And that's Jeff Libler's family as well. The judge stated no contact with the Mormon family, Brad Oswald, Holly Wilson, Sheila Oliver, Cassidy Cordova, Morgan Gentile, Jean, and Martin Ritter, and there's protection orders for all of them. Again, $500,000 cash only bond. He has to put up $500,000 in cash to get out of jail until trial. Yes, he's probably given his lawyers about that amount, probably a couple $100,000. If he wants to get out of jail for a bit of time before the trial, he'll have to figure out how to make it happen. Okay, the judge said he has to hand over his passport. He will not be allowed to set bond until his passport is handed over. And the judge ruled he must reside in Chaffee County. It'll be interesting to see if he sets parameters as far as how far he can travel and where he can go or not. So if he has to live in Chaffee County, he can certainly drive over and go see his girls. $500,000 in cash. He must surrender his passport. He cannot reside outside of Chaffee County. It is this court that has to monitor him. And his daughter, Mallory, just left the courtroom with a private investigator. The judge stated, "I want you here in Chaffee County so that I know you are close by." That's what I was assuming. It's easier for the court in that jurisdiction to monitor him if he's in the local area. Okay, here we go. He'll have to wear an ankle monitor that will tell the judge when and if Barry leaves Chaffee County. So if he can't travel, I haven't heard anything yet. I mean, he has to reside in Chaffee County. There's no specifications so far about. I know it says here that he has to wear the ankle monitor, and that will tell him if he leaves Chaffee County. So I'm assuming that means he absolutely cannot leave Chaffee County at any point in time, but the daughters can visit him in Chaffee County. They will have to travel to see him. The judge also stated you must appear in person to every hearing. You must wear an ankle monitor, Patrick Murphy stated. The bond can't be posted until noon on Monday because there is no private probation here today. So he will spend the weekend in jail and see if he's able to come up with $500,000. Yes, Lori James, $500,000 in cash. Yes, agree. Humanimal. Mallory, a very difficult position at her age. Still so immature and just so young is what I mean. Up next, they're going to discuss the arrest affidavit. So he will have to spend the weekend in jail. He cannot do the bond until Monday. That is an enormous amount of money. If you want to be out of jail badly enough, if you have it, then you've got to put up the cash. So, one of the bigger issues too. Here we go with the arrest affidavit. Maybe we really don't know what kind of money he has. In all honesty, he might have had investments, retirement accounts, same thing, cash, other monies we're not aware of. We don't know what kind of support, from his family, if they have any funds to contribute to get him out of jail for now. Seems as if he's pretty much been told he can't have contact with anybody remotely, close to the situation. Interesting that Mallory left the courtroom with a private investigator. Any thoughts on that statement? Anybody? I can't imagine what kind of snow they get in Gunnison. Probably by the 8 or 10 foot range every time. Yes, Vicky, I agree. I'm certain they would absolutely love to do that right now. So painful. So the defense attorneys are arguing that the arrest affidavit should not be released. They say the public has significant information in this case, and one of his attorneys says she has never seen anything like this specific affidavit in 25 years. She says it reads like a tabloid. So the defense does not want the affidavit to be released. They wrote this affidavit to try this case in the media and try to taint a jury pool. They don't want the arrest affidavit to be released. It is very interesting about Mallory and the PI, Lily Gigi. And the PI being actively like in court in front of everybody. It's interesting. So that people would recognize, who the person was and what they look like and everything. Interesting. Still waiting on the decision on the arrest affidavit here. So Barry's attorney said it will decimate a chance for Barry Morphew to have a fair trial if the affidavit is released. I do recall them saying that there was a lot of information in there that wasn't relevant at all. Thanks, everybody, for hanging in there all this time. His other attorney stated releasing the affidavit will taint the jury as well as some witnesses in the case. They have a lot to do, and if the affidavit is released, it could hurt their ability to do their job. What does everybody think? Will it taint a jury? Will it make it difficult for him to have a fair trial? What are your thoughts? With as much information as in there and possibly some information that's not pertinent, extra, or stuff that's irrelevant that could inflame things, I do believe it could taint a jury and make it pretty tough. Still waiting on the judge's decision here. Let's see. No, nothing yet. Assuming momentarily. Again, Barry's attorney said it will decimate a chance for him to have a fair trial. And I think legally speaking, the judge is going to have to do by law what he believes is the right thing for Barry to have a fair trial. Otherwise, the chances for appeal are there. yes, Humanal, sometimes people believe a lot, and maybe they need to assess that realistically and look at it for the facts and information. But everybody is entitled to believe or think what they want. Everybody has to respect that until facts and evidence are proven otherwise. I did say here before, earlier in the broadcast, no psychics on our channel. None. We don't believe in it. Won't listen to it. Absolutely none of that. No questions asked there on that one. They take advantage of vulnerable people and people that are suffering. And really, for that reason, I don't accept it at all. I'm still waiting for maybe the judge is thinking about his decision here. Oh, here we go. The judge stated, it is highly detailed efforts of law enforcement, but there is information that would not be admissible in trial. He's talking about what's in the affidavit. The defense has had the opportunity to interview the witnesses before their names were released. He finds no valid reason to suppress the affidavit. There you go. Is everybody ready to read a lot of information this weekend? It looks as if it's going to be released. I agree, Swan Song. Everybody here, here's some doggies in the background. We're a pet-friendly environment, so try to do the best that we can. Breaking news, the arrest affidavit will be released on Barry Morphew. The judge says the affidavit is the prosecution's version of what happened with no challenge from the defense, and the public is aware of most of the details in the case. So there you go. Lots of reading to do, with probably things that maybe some of us couldn't even imagine are in that document. Maybe not. Exactly, Swan Song. It's a lot of reading. Well, animal friendly as in dogs. That's going to be a pretty powerful document to read. Pretty certain of that. There might be a lot of extraneous, external stuff it's already been stated that there was additional information in there that wasn't pertinent. The judge even stated that, but there could be a lot of details in there that none of us have seen. The defense made another affidavit with their own redactions. The judge will make note of it, but that will not be released. Oh, Swan Song, it looks like you can do your chores for the weekend. The affidavit will be posted by noon on Monday. I have one Jack Russell, who's amazing, and two Catahoula hound dogs. They're brother and sister. I have a little herd. So again, The judge stated the affidavit will be posted by noon on Monday. There we go, everybody. $500,000 cash bond. The affidavit will be released by noon on Monday. Yes, Swan Song. Get all your housework done so Monday you can sit and read the document. Thank you, Humanimal. Yep. The Catahoula Hound dogs are so cool. An interesting mix. And my little Jack Russell is leader of the pack. He's smart and clever, and the others are so super cool. It's very fun. The defense wants to set a day for trial now. For the Barry Morphew case, the state is being asked the length of the trial. Deputy DA Lindsay says at least 4 weeks. And the defense is looking at May of 2022. I don't know if the judge is going to decide to set a date today or not. Oh, I'm so sorry, Swan Song. Actually, we did have one other dog in the family just pass away here not long ago, and it was brutal. So sorry. So the defense is asking for set the date for trial. The prosecution saying approximately 4 weeks, they believe, and the defense is looking at May of 2022. Yes, the Catahoulas, well, hound dogs definitely hunt. I did not get the doggies for hunting. I got them just to be fun little members of our family. I rescued a brother and sister together, like 2 peas in a pod. But they love to run like far and fast and all of that. They love to run, and the Catahoulas are hunting dogs. Actually, my Jack Russell is pretty good at hunting too. He loves little varmints. I don't, but he does. Okay, here we go. Breaking news. The judge is setting the trial date for Barry Morphew. May 3rd until June 1st. And Barry Morphew entered a not guilty plea. May 3rd until June 1st. Barry Morphew pled not guilty. Actually accomplished a lot today. So no delays there, and having to go back to court several times to address all these issues. Lab Shepherd mix. Ah, sweet puppy. Animals are the best, in my opinion. I've had animals my whole life. Okay, so May 3rd until June 1st. And interesting that the trial is going to take place during the month of when Suzanne went missing. Kind of strange. I don't think there'll be a motion for change of venue, but we'll see. Yes, Humanimal, you got the basic facts. May 3rd to June 1st. That would be 2022 for the trial. Of course, that's when she went missing, 2020. He pled not guilty, $500,000 cash bond with requirements associated with that bond, if he can meet the bond, of course. Yes, 2022 for the trial. And the month of May, the same month that she went missing. That's brutal. Okay, Barry Morphew's attorney, Iris Eaton, is telling the judge the prosecutors with the DA's office have been participating in interviews, podcasts, and fueling the media frenzy. She's asking for a gag order for them. The judge is not ruling on the motion. He said if there is a violation, it is a self-inflicted wound. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. We're a new channel. We're hoping to grow. And help a lot of people. True crime, victims, families. Help get information out there, make it available for more people to see and be aware of. I appreciate everybody joining in today. Thanks a lot. Gratitude to everybody. Thank you. I think I'm going to sign off for today. And certainly, if you click the like, subscribe, and notification bell, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Swan Song. Thank you very much. Yes, I did see that, Humanimal, the appearances on other podcasts and YouTube channels and things. Thanks, everybody, so much. Have a fantastic, safe weekend. We'll be back soon with some of the extremely difficult but recent cases that are all over the place right now. Thanks, everybody. We got a lot of information today. Very helpful. So be looking out Monday for the affidavit, and have a printer that's loaded and ready to print that long document. Or you can read it online, I suppose. Download it. Everybody have a safe, great weekend. Bye for now. Thank you. Stay safe. Bye for now.